Welcome to Lesson 2 in Unit 9, How Seeds Travel. In this lesson, students will work to answer the question, what do plants need to grow? In this lesson, students collect and analyze data that will help them determine what plants need to grow. Students figure out that by collecting data about a plant's growth, they can observe patterns to help them learn more about what they need to grow. They determine that plants need water, light, and minerals from the soil to grow. Students make connections to the storyline by updating their explanation for how the cucumber seeds started growing in the radish bed. There are several opportunities for ELA and math cross-curricular connections throughout the lesson. You can look for specific standard connections in the Unit 9 teacher guide. This lesson will take approximately 6 days to complete. To start the Engage portion, you'll show students their growing plants from Lesson 1 and ask that based on their predictions, what do they think plants need to grow? You'll revisit the driving question board and add any new questions and highlight others connected to the learning goals of this lesson by calling attention to questions about what plants need to grow. In the Explore portion, you'll ask students how they think they can measure growing plants, especially if they're not straight. You'll allow students to turn and talk with a partner and then share. If students don't mention using string, you'll show them the string that they will be using to measure the plants. You'll pass out the plant observation chart, student journal pages, string, and the centimeter rulers to pairs of students and explain to students that they will use the centimeter rulers and the string to measure their plants. On days 8, 14, and 21, you'll give students time to observe and record data about the plants in each of the 8 peat pots. If today happens to be day 8, since the seeds were started, you'll allow students to observe, measure, collect, and record data on the plant observation student journal pages. Using plant height measurement data, you'll create the plant heights chart on the board or a piece of chart paper and fill in as each group shares their data. After the chart is created, you can make a class graph using the data. Students will complete the plant heights bar graph student journal page alongside the teacher. This slide is provided as an example data chart for class data. For the Explain portion, you'll invite students to gather in a circle to share their findings from making their predictions. Use the provided questions to guide your discussion around the question, what do plants need to grow? The goal of this class discussion is to analyze the data from their investigations and explain how conditions affect the growth of a plant. You'll ask the students to come to the discussion with the completed Plant Heights bar graph student journal page. During the discussion, you will begin to fill out the Lesson 2 summary chart to keep track of the class's ideas. By the end of the discussion, students should understand that a cucumber seed was buried in the soil and got lots of sunlight and water. During the discussion, you can post and talk over the pattern vocabulary card. You'll also read the first part of From Seed to Plant. Use the Read Aloud guide to ask questions for the summary chart. In the Elaborate, you'll read Part 2 of From Seed to Plant. As you read, you'll draw and label a flowering plant on a piece of chart paper. You'll also post and discuss the structure, function, root, stem, leaf, and flower vocabulary cards. You'll then show students the plant parts student journal page and tell them that the fruit is the structure of the plant that carries the seeds. You'll have students look at the completed class drawing as they complete the plant parts student journal page and post the fruit vocabulary card. For the Evaluate portion, you'll have students use their Plant Needs Quick Check student journal page to draw and label a model of the plant growth under different conditions and answer questions to assess their growth over the section. To support student sense-making across the unit, you'll orient them back to the driving question board. You'll ask students, what did we learn about what cucumbers and radishes need to grow? Do we have any more information that might help us solve the mystery of the traveling cucumber plant? And what questions do we still have about plant growth? You can have students use the self-check form to evaluate their own learning in this section. This is an instructional tool that can be used as a metacognitive practice for students to reflect on their learning, express their engagement and excitement levels for the topics they have learned so far. This tool will also allow students to reflect on their science identities and community. By the end of this lesson, students will have conducted an investigation to determine if plants need water and light to grow. In Lesson 3, students will continue observing plant growth over time and begin exploring the plants in their schoolyard. For the optional extend, you can set up and carry out a demonstration to show colored water making its way up the stem of a celery stalk to the leaves. For more information about this unit, visit myscipartners.com.